So while Playwright doesn't support existing browsers, there's a whole host of reasons why it's beneficial to be able to point test automation at an existing browser. I have an old video that does this from a few years ago, but I wanted to do an updated version for 2026, basically showing how easy it is today to be able to point Playwright at an existing browser. So let's get into it. Okay, so there's a couple core steps. None of it's particularly complex. The first is you're going to have a script to do a launch debug browser. Now, this is not something I'm going to share because it literally takes 10 seconds to just go into AI today, which is like Quad Code in this situation, and say, write me a script to launch a debug browser for Playwright. Now, to be fair, I don't even think you have to do this. I think you could literally just say, write me a fixture that points at an existing browser, and it would do this. But what you need is you need basically a script that launches a debug browser, and then you need a fixture that points to it. Now, the reason why we have a separate fixture that points to it is because that allows you to basically replace the fixture at the test level as opposed to having to replace the context of the test level. It's just a bit easier, but technically speaking, you could also just do this within the test. And all we're doing here is rather than using Playwright's default like page context, you're simply just setting up your own context, pointing it at the debug browser host. And then when you go ahead and you run the test, this will now point at an existing browser. So in today's world with AI, it is literally as simple as write me a fixture that points to an existing debug browser that I can use to run my Playwright tests with an existing browser, right? Super simple. That's as easy as it is. When you're actually using a debug browser, the most common reason why is for like debugging very end, like long workflows, right? So if you've pointed a test case at a debug browser, it runs, and then when that test case fails, it will not tear down that debug browser because it's a separate thing. The Playwright didn't spin up the Chromium instance. And then what you have is you have the page that it failed on. And so when you then update the locator or whatever it is that you're trying to do, you can actually then just go ahead and copy or comment out, all of the code up into that point, right? You do your last little piece in the existing browser and it makes that whole thing a lot easier. Yeah, 2026 version of how to write Playwright with an existing browser, or how to point Playwright at an existing browser. All right, I'm going to be doing a bunch of videos about Playwright and kind of the versions of it in AI. Please feel free to suggest ideas, feedback, etc. And we'll look forward to, having you on the channel. Please subscribe, goes a long way. Talk soon.